Hello everyone, my name is Adam Reddick, and today we're going to be talking about demand, design, and marketability. So, let's take a moment to consider the last movie you really wanted to see, or maybe the video game you really wanted to play. The Avengers, Star Wars, Halo, maybe Final Fantasy. What made you want to experience those so badly? While there are several factors that can be seen as the root of this, past experience for example, I find that the most important is design. Why are certain aesthetics used in design in media over others? Well, first, I'd like us to play a little game. So, what you're going to do here is just, simply put, figure out which one is used by the hero. Is it A or is it B? Now, I'm going to ask you to pause here, and then once you've made your choice, just go on for these next couple questions. Alright, moving on. If you answered A, you would be correct. Next question. Which is used by the hero? A or B? Pause for a moment. And the correct answer here would be B. Last question. A or B? And coming back, the answer here is A. So, this was actually more of an experiment than a game. An experiment to transition into the answer of why some designs are used in media over others. This first question was something of a control for our non-Western audience, and the following questions were to kind of counteract common knowledge of my Western audience. Essentially, I'm using something largely unfamiliar. A and B are consistently designed in each question by the same person or people. In addition, these questions were chosen to avoid actors, as we often typecast them as certain types of characters and roles. What do you think of when I bring up Ryan Reynolds, Harrison Ford, Meryl Streep? Now, this experiment wasn't just conducted with you. I set up polls and gathered data from people from various parts of the world, Canada, Brazil, Germany, and the US. And while my limited responses are by no means fully substantial, I feel I can say that statistically, you did choose the hero correctly every single time, and you may have even found it easy. So, out of 15 people, 12 correctly guessed question 1, 14 correctly guessed question 2, and 14 managed to correctly guess question 3. So, why? Well, the purpose of the 3 questions comes down to, respectively, familiarity, human likeness, and color choice. Designers put a lot of work into using these as tools to make something far more marketable and increase product demand for media and individual products. So, marketing and familiarity. Why were you able to recognize the hero, especially in the first question, regardless of where you may be in the world? Well, this is partly due to a sense of familiarity used to market products. Of course, they have to remain somewhat unique, but as seen in question 1, the hero is closer to being a plane than the competition. By nature of what they are, heroes, they need to be recognizable and easily marketable. And if it's more marketable, there's going to be more demand. And the humanity of marketability. The purpose of the second question does, in some regard, relate to familiarity, but more specifically, the human form. When you look at the 2 examples used for question 2, why do we choose B over A? Well, largely because they're aesthetic. A has the cyclops-like eye, while B has the somewhat knightly visor. And this is extremely intentional. Keys into making us identify and go after our hero far more effectively. And the creators were well aware of this when designing their machines. Nicholas Meriden attributes this design aesthetic to Mobile Suit Gundam series creator Yoshiyuki Tomino. In the frightening emptiness of space, it would be comforting for people to work alongside machines with a familiar human shape. He associates this design for anthropomorphism with Japan's long religious history of worshipping carved images of the Buddha. But how well has this design philosophy worked? Well, Gundam is among the highest grossing media franchises of all time. In 2014 alone, they grossed 80.2 billion yen, or roughly $770 million. Which brings us now to colors, lightsabers and paint jobs. Colors are highly influential on a design due to subtle emotional hints they carry with them that often make identifying something extremely easy. This is even how they identify other planes in the Air Force and often in just commercial flight. So, for example, red is angry, blue is sad, green is calming, basic color theory. Color scheme going into design is extremely important for getting across alignment and creating something flashy. See Darth Vader and Iron Man, who'd be way less iconic if they were in plaid instead. Not just in character design is this important, but cars as well. How often do we consider a color when purchasing one? Extremely often. You'll see a black car far more than you'll find a purple car. Now, these biases to colors can make or break popularity in a design. For instance, between A and B in question 3, A has a much more heroic palette, and again, the green color scheme for a much more calm aesthetic, where the reds in B bring out something much more aggressive, as I'm sure might have been the tipping point for why you probably chose A instead. So, in conclusion, why are some designs used over others? Well, designers employ familiarity, human likeness, and colors to create a very iconic design. One unique, but relatable enough to spur demand for a product through marketability. They use our own thinking to guide us to certain conclusions, and thus behave in certain ways, as is the case with examples in the earlier questions. And they are highly effective at their jobs. I'd like to cite my sources here. And thank you for tuning in. It has been a pleasure, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.